this video, we're going to talk about what is better: online, meeting people, going to bars, nightclubs, and lounges. Is it meeting people in the daytime? Is it social circle? What is the best way to meet people? And I think it is the time for the resurrection of meeting strangers in the daytime. I'm going to explain down in detail exactly how I came to this conclusion, what you need to do to benefit from this, and the reasons of why you should go back to meeting people in the daytime, which was once an archaic form that is now coming back, all right? I'm gonna break it down in detail, and stay tuned to the end because I'm gonna tell you exactly how I personally do it now. Dude, this is gonna be my resurrection manifesto of sorts, like Black Jesus coming back from the dead. Know what I mean? Anyway, so how did this start? Well, I'm sure you know we had this quarantine that lasted the last 2 to 3 years. I'm in Tel Aviv, Israel right now, and this quarantine was like 3.5 years here. It was even crazy. So we had this quarantine going on, and during that time, as many of you know, there's been many studies that have said that the average amount of males to females online is 1 male for every 5 females, which is absolutely crazy. And you might even swipe 1,000 times and get 10 matches. So it's not a good opportunity cost here, right? It's not a good use of your time. We'll get into opportunity cost more later. So myself, what does that mean? I did a test for all of 2021. I spent $500 every single month researching the 3 major platforms, which were Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, okay? And I noticed over the time, even my results started to diminish. It wasn't worth the amount of effort that I was putting into it. And I said, I gotta do something here. I gotta change it, right? Because even for me, I'm doing this at an Olympic level as a coach. You know, I've been internationally for a long time, and even in several countries around the globe, I noticed the diminishing results, which became discouraging. I started thinking to myself, bro, if it's like that for you, then how is it for the average guy out there? What's he going through? You know, I started to just think about that. I'm like, okay, we got to do something about it. And since then, there's been a lot of ideas around meeting new people, meeting strangers, because guys are frustrated. There's all kinds of pill colors. There's black pills. People just want to give up. There's red pills. People are angry. There's people going their own way that are even more frustrated. But at the end of the day, I think about it like this. You cannot do nothing. You gotta do something. You gotta take some sort of action, because your desire to mate with the opposite sex or to meet people or have a great life doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't disappear. It remains, so you gotta do something about it. I had a boot camp this weekend in Tel Aviv, Israel, with a student who was a great student, by the way. Oh, just so you know, before we get further into this is my last year doing programs. There's a few cities around the globe that I'm still trying to hit up. I love doing programs. It's my favorite thing in the world. I'm basically retired at this point, but the reason why I do programs is because I just love them, but it's my last few cities of doing them. So if you want to work with me face to face, a legend at this, doing this over 15 years, and now is the time to do it. There's no better time than now. Don't say, oh, I'll put it off and I'll wait until next year. Bro, there is no next year. And if what you were doing was gonna work, it would have worked already. And I gotta tell you, so yeah, if you wanna get on that, now's the time to do it. Don't delay. If you've ever been on your bucket list to work with me, let me do that, take you by the hand, and shave years off your learning curve, literally, all right? So anyways, I'm with a student on program, and this guy, he's doing great. But he decided that he wanted to be spiritually enlightened. This is his goal now, to be spiritual and enlightened, which is not a bad idea. It's not a bad goal, it's not a bad thing. This is all he wants to do. So he doesn't want to approach anymore. He doesn't want to meet people. And I said to him, bro, that's all great. But what I think you're doing is I think you're using this excuse of being spiritual in order to cope. And maybe you've done that yourself in some way, shape, or form in your life. You're right? Using the excuse of being spiritual to cope. What you should at least do is master all of your abilities. Max out everything you can in terms of your fashion and your style. Max yourself out in going to the gym. Max yourself out in going and traveling to other locations and meeting people. Max yourself out in your online. Max yourself out in your ability to talk to people face to face and work on those social skills. And then, only then, once you have maxed out all those areas, can you say, I'm not interested. But at least get to the level that is the best of your ability before you just quit. Because that's coping. No way around it. No ifs, ands, and buts. That's being a loser. So I started thinking about comparing all these opportunities. Your online versus your in-person nightclubs versus your social circle versus meeting people in the day versus bars, whatever. And I started thinking about just online first. Online does not have the same rate of return as it used to. Did you know that depending on which country you're in, you pay more? So if you're like in New York, Los Angeles, Toronto, Tel Aviv, Israel, where I happen to be right now, it actually costs more. It costs about $100 a month to get to the premium account, which is just crazy. Versus if you're in somewhere like Colombia or a second or third world country, it costs a lot less. So there's a cost that comes along with this. And what happens is the more you invest into online, if you're an average looking guy, the less your return is. You get a sunken cost. There is a cost of action. There's an opportunity cost. So, I don't know what you're paying a month, but if if you're doing like $500 a month, like how I was just to test it out, and you're maybe getting, I don't know, God forbid, you are getting 10 matches, that would be what, $50 a match, which is like what, worth on 1 hour, 2 hours of your time going out. And those matches don't necessarily translate into conversations, which don't necessarily translate into phone numbers, which don't necessarily translate into meeting up. So there is a loss here. And there's a great quote here, we'll put it on the screen. And this quote talks about your opportunity is the market's weakness. Right? That's what you want to do. You want to get into a situation of where the market is weak and you start your own opportunity there and take advantage of that. And that's what a smart person does. That's what you do in business. I believe that applies to the social life. Because right now, nobody has the skills to go out and meet strangers face to face. When was the last time that they did that? It was maybe 2, maybe 3 years ago, and they stayed locked up inside their house. So they don't even have the skills or ability to do that. So I believe face-to-face is a underserved market versus, online, there's 10,000 people you're competing with. And they might even like you online. But what happens is because they're falling down lower and lower every day in the matches, even if you've got a conversation going, you gotta ping them 2 or 3 times because they're falling down and down. You might be a great match and a great fit, but nothing happens there. So my advice to you would be, go where the market is weak, go where people have soft skills, and in this situation it would be where? Face to face. Now, you're probably thinking, all right, so let me do that in a bar or lounge or nightclub. And traditionally that did work, but if you notice the dynamics of nightclubs aren't really the same as how they used to be back in the day. I remember, I'm an old dude, right? I'm an old dude. But even 5 years ago, pre-quarantines, I used to go out and it'd be able to talk to people on the dance floor. But what happened was men just started to simp more and more and more. And now the standard is if you notice on the weekends, the standard isn't going to a nice dinner. The standard is going on somebody's yacht. It's going on somebody's yacht, that's the standard. And before the standard would be, hey, can I buy you a drink? That was cool enough. Now what's the standard? The standard now is, hey, let me fly you somewhere. It's not even do I have a table at a club. People are just so accustomed to going to free tables, they don't even care anymore about going to your free table. Now the standard is let me fly you somewhere, right? So clubs are not as great because now the clubs have to reorganize themselves as businesses, and they had to set up booths with velvet ropes, and now all the people you want to meet and talk to are getting pulled into the velvet ropes as early as possible. Then it's just creating an obstacle for you there. It can be overcome, but why go through that if it's so difficult, right? You're putting in all this energy, and the return on that investment of energy is bad. So when I think of my life of meeting people or meeting strangers, 2 principles come to mind. The first 2 that I think about are opportunity cost and sunken cost. So opportunity cost is how much of an opportunity do I have here, right? How much of an opportunity and what's it gonna cost me to get that opportunity? And when I'm talking about a nightclub, it's well, if I wanna get a table, that's $1,000. And the opportunity, it's less because I'm competing with some people that are gonna do it. And then I think about what's my sunken cost. I think about if I am doing online dating, for example, how much do I gotta pay and how many people am I even gonna meet up with? And then I meet them, maybe I'm catfish, they look nothing like their pictures, or I meet them and guess what? They're not even the same person, or there's no chemistry. Worse than that, ew. So all that together just makes me feel it's a sunken cost. And I'm just trying to avoid sunken costs, because the older I get, the more I want to travel, the more I want to spend time with great friends that I have that are amazing individuals, the more that I want to get out there and explore the world and start new businesses and new companies and things like that. So I don't have time to be doing that. My sunken cost isn't even just what it is spent on the person I'm talking to online. The sunken cost is my time. That's worth a lot as well. So I'm like, all right, that's not for me. Let me think about what other options I have here. So in the book, The Art of War, Shanson always talked about taking the high ground. Typically, enemy of yourself, they're against you, they have the high ground, you're gonna be surrounded and cornered, you wanna be able to cut them off and flank them, and having the high ground is an advantage in any type of war situation. It just means playing to your strengths. And I believe that face-to-face in the daytime provides you strengths that you no longer would have that outnumber a lot of the benefits of technology. So I believe in the daytime you have your charisma that you've worked on. Maybe you have jokes that just land better. You're maybe not a funny person online. Your jokes don't hit the same. Your sarcasm comes off as rude as weird. But face to face, maybe your sarcasm, your sense of humor hits differently. I believe that you have your looks. Maybe you have more presence. I know myself, I'm actually a 7, but face-to-face body language, and I don't stand like that, but face-to-face body language and stuff like that allows me to really maximize what I have and do better with it, okay? So also, if you're competing in a market of idiots, as we said before, then why wouldn't you do face-to-face? Now you're gonna stand out, now you make a better impression. And you're not somebody that they just know from online, you're somebody they haven't met before. So what does that mean in terms of your retention? Well, people that have met you online are more likely to flake on you because they say to themselves, I never met this person before, I don't really know them, I don't owe them anything, right? And it's easier for them to pass out. The great thing about social circle back in the day is you met somebody through your social circle, they're less likely to flake because they know you. And they don't want the word to get around to their friends and the whole group that they're a horrible person, that they mistreated you. So they'll meet up with you usually, right? Now, the same thing kind of drips over into face-to-face in the daytime because you're somebody that they have met, you're somebody that they have felt comfortable with in that moment of meeting you, and they're more likely to meet up. So what do I think this is? I think this is the resurrection of daytime social skills. Also at night, but mostly in the day. There is no better time than now to master this craft. Okay, and of course, I have programs about this. Of course, I do boot camp programs about this. But this is not why I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this because I really thought about it. I really thought about this a lot. And I tested this with about 2,000 students over the last 2 years, and I've heard all their stories and their complaints and what they're doing good at and where they're getting results. And I find, they're getting good results in the daytime. And it may even be more challenging, right? It may even be harder for you now in the daytime because you're a little bit rusty. So first of all, you gotta work on that skill. We gotta get you good. Come to a live program, come to a boot camp, do online coaching, get better at that. But think about how sweet the reward is. Think about how it's going to be worth it if you meet somebody in the daytime. Because when you meet them, okay, it may be hard. Once you get through, you break through that barrier, it's more likely that you're gonna have some sort of relationship. The retention's better because they know you've had spent time together and they feel less guilty about it. You didn't meet them when they were drunk at a club, doing cocaine in the bathroom. You met their best version of themselves. A lot of guys will say, you can meet your girlfriend in the nightclub. Yeah, but it's very unlikely because at a nightclub, you're meeting people at their worst, when they're drunk, when they're unpure, all this stuff. So I would recommend trying to meet people, if you want a relationship in the nightclub, I'd recommend meeting them in the daytime, right? Do that. The point I'm trying to make is the reward is much better, okay? The juice is more worth the squeeze from the daytime. And like any good teacher, I want you to learn about this in advance before other people start to figure it out because, hey man, there's a short window we got here of a few months where you can really take advantage of this when no one else knows what to do. All right, if you want to work with me again, live, in person, I got my last few boot camps I'm doing. We'll put the dates on the screen again. A lot of fun. I love doing these programs. Working with me face-to-face is different than anything else because I'm on your shoulder giving you coaching in real time giving you feedback. I'm also putting you into situations that you're not used to, that stress test you, and you learn how to adapt to those situations in real time, which is something you can't do from a digital product. They're great, but real-time stressing and experiments and results, that's just amazing. And nothing else ever is gonna beat that, okay? In phase training. So yeah, I'd love to work with you in person. It'd be a pleasure. I'm working a lot, I'm traveling a lot, creating new programs, creating new websites, creating new channels, and this is the time to do it. No better time than now. If not now, then when? You said you're gonna do it, stop lying to yourself. I got some more information about what I've been thinking lately about the dating market. Okay, click up here for a playlist on that. And if you want to learn more about high value communication skills, something I've been teaching for over a decade and working on for over 15 years, and go over the corner and click that. And as always, keep in touch and don't be a stranger. Cheers.